Good afternoon and welcome to the 2020 site visit of the Better Business Bureau Eclipse Integrity Award for Small Nonprofits. My name is Hope Taft and I am president of the Tandana Foundation, and we view our work as weaving friendships into family. Part of that is knowing who we are talking with. So let's take a few minutes to introduce ourselves. I'm Hope Taft and I live at the international headquarters of the Tandana Foundation in Dayton, Ohio. And although my virtual background is the highlands of Ecuador, it is one of the places where we work and where I wish I was. And we have met our guests, so we welcome you, and you will get a chance to hear from the Tandana family members that are with us on your screen. There's Anna Taft, the founding director, Aaron DiMartino, the operations director, Francis Rapture, the Dayton, Ohio volunteer, Dick DuVal, a Tandana board member from Cincinnati, Susan Kohler, former Tandana public relations specialist from Dayton, Margarita Flores, accountant from Ecuador, and Musa Timbani, program manager in Mali. A seed of Tandana's germination was probably planted in 1994 when Anna turned 15, and her grandmother gave her a framed quote by Emerson: "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." Anna has gone her own way based on strong core values of integrity, transparency, respect, responsibility, and humility. And through Tandana is leaving a trail for other organizations to follow. Hopefully, we will give you a better understanding of what that means to the Tandana Foundation and the people in Ecuador and Mali that we partner with. To start off, Anna will give a brief history and the philosophy of this organization.
In 1998, I had the opportunity to travel to Ecuador as a volunteer between high school and college, and I was amazed by the friendship I was offered by my host family and others in the community where I lived. And when I left, I wanted to be responsible in those relationships that I'd formed. And so I kept in touch, and I returned to visit later on and saw how my friends were doing. In 2006, I traveled to Mali in West Africa, and there I heard about many other NGOs that had come with a predetermined project that they decided on, done it for a village, and then left with no follow-up, and very soon the project had broken down. And I saw in this a lack of respect and responsibility. And so I decided to create Tandana as an organization based on those core values of respect and responsibility. We respect community members' ability to determine their own needs and initiate their own projects. And we show responsibility through long-term relationships where we continually check in to see how the projects are doing, what challenges and successes they've met, and what new ideas have emerged through their progress. We also show responsibility by following through on every commitment that we make. We also value transparency, and we clarify our expectations up front. We make sure the community knows what their responsibilities are in any given project and what they can expect from us. Often for larger projects, we can't fund the whole thing all at one time. And so we're very clear about what parts we can do now and what needs to wait for a potential future phase. At Tandana, we define integrity as living our values consistently. And when we do this, it builds a tremendous amount of trust among everyone involved, to the point that many different stakeholders refer to Tandana as a family. And when we do this, it also brings our name to life. Tandana is a Quechua root that means to gather together or to unite. One example of how our values come to life is during this current COVID-19 pandemic. Amid unexpected changes and challenges, we've really relied on our core values for guidance. With respect, we asked our local staff what they are hearing from community members and what needs communities are identifying for themselves. And we came up with ideas for COVID-19 education sessions, because in the area of Mali where we work, there's very little access to media, and of distributing and setting up hand wash stations so that people without running water can still follow public health guidelines. And with responsibility, we found new ways to follow through on our commitments. For example, our scholarship students in Ecuador are now expected to study online. And so we found ways to help them to provide internet access so that they can keep up with their studies. And unfortunately, we had to cancel many volunteer programs because of the travel restrictions, but we're still following through on what those volunteers were supposed to provide to the communities. For example, one group was supposed to do a mobile clinic program in Highland, Ecuador. And since that wasn't possible, we provided transportation for the local health center staff to visit those same communities and continue to provide primary care. We also thought about our community in the United States and the isolation that many of them may be experiencing with the stay-at-home orders. And so we launched a series of virtual ventures that allowed people throughout the United States to connect through Zoom with friends in Ecuador and Mali and stay connected despite the physical separation. When we stay true to our values, we can find creative solutions and continue to build trust. And this consistency in living out our values is what integrity means to us.
I've been involved with Tandana since 2012, first as an unpaid intern in Ecuador, then later as a program coordinator in Ecuador. After that, a graduate student collaborating on an independent study project. After that, an advisory council committee member, and now I'm the operations director. In my time over the years working at all these different levels, I've not seen Tandana stray from its mission. In fact, in my understanding of the history of this organization, dating back to its founding, the mission has stayed the same and is unchanged today. To me, this shows a lot of integrity, as Tandana has not strayed from its mission when a new trend seems popular or changed what it does to take an easier path. So how was this accomplished? Before we do anything at all, we check back in with our values. We make sure that we are an organization that walks the talk. This is evident in the documents that we create and is a constant reminder keeping these values fresh in our minds. All of our manuals, ranging from those made for interns, fellows, contractors, employees, trustees, all have our values prominently displayed. This is also true with many of the documents we've created, such as our staff performance evaluation form, a rubric that helps us select worthy students for our scholarship program in Ecuador, our website. Our values have even made that onto our staff meeting agendas. At the start of our Ecuador team's monthly meetings, they choose one of our values to reflect on, and they share examples of how it has been used recently. Again, we keep our values fresh in our minds, and we make sure that we live them in all that we do. We also learn so much when we collaborate with our partners. For example, applying for certification through the Better Business Bureau helped us realize that we needed to have a formal annual report, which we now make every year, and we're sure to include all the industry standard metrics. Opportunity is one of our values, and we make sure that we listen to new organizations that approach us, and we see if we can create win-win situations, which is also another one of our values. A great example of integrity that I've seen firsthand is that one of our partner organizations, who's joined us in Ecuador for many years now, would probably have been priced out of participating with us if we had not been careful. We value the longstanding relationships that they have created with one of the communities that they always return to for homestay families. And we see them living out our mission and values, and how they're actually creating something bigger than themselves with their visit. So we don't price them out of participation. We welcome them back each year because we know that that's best for everyone. I'm proud of our integrity to recognize this and to allow it to continue. Even though we work internationally, we don't forget our roots, and we strive to create as many vibrant partnerships locally in the Dayton area as we can. We have relationships with the University of Dayton, Wright State University, Cedarville University, Antioch College, Bellbrook High School, Alter High School, Bellbrook United Methodist Church, Islamic Society of Greater Dayton, Greene County Medical Association, Kettering Health Network, Dayton Rotary, Miami Valley Nonprofit Collective, SCORE Dayton, and I could keep going. The list is getting long, but there's more. There's even more. These are all organizations that we're involved with and who are essential to Tandana living out its mission and values to our fullest extent. We could not do what we do without these partners who provide us with interns, participants, medical supplies, donations, and so much more. Speaking of local, I'd now like to introduce you to Dayton resident Francis Reppinger. She's graciously hosted me in her home when I visited Dayton for our in-person board meeting and fundraiser, and she's going to speak to you now about her experiences with us. Frances.
Good afternoon. I'm Frances Rapture, a fellow Daytonian and Tandana volunteer. I started going on Tandana volunteer trips to Ecuador in 2014. It was such a wonderful and unique experience working closely with the Quechua people that I returned again for the next 3 years. I have spent a total of 7 weeks in DuVal, Ecuador. What impressed me most was that I was working side by side with the people in the communities, helping them to improve their living conditions. This work felt relevant and meaningful, and I made new friends. Ahead of time, the Tandana trip leaders told us not to bring presents or give money to the people. We were told that is not the Tandana approach to assistance. Instead, we worked on projects which the community leaders requested because of a genuine need. Our gifts were the assistance we gave to the community. I will tell you about some of the gardening projects I worked on to give you insight into what Tandana volunteers have accomplished. We planted trees on the edge of steep hills around the community to stem erosion, a serious problem during droughts. A secondary benefit of planting the trees was the trees could also serve as fence posts, firmly rooted in the ground and periodically trimmed. We established a medical plant garden on the grounds of the village medical clinic. The Quechua people use traditional medicine as well as modern medicine, utilizing herbs and plants. At an area school, we helped plant a very large vegetable garden, which would provide more food for the students, with the surplus sold in the local markets to bring in funds for the school's operating expenses. We worked at a tree nursery, helping the head of it plant seedlings and manage the growing ones, all of which would be made available to the communities. Later, we went to the nursery manager's farm to clear a field of rocks so that he could plant an additional crop. So you can see these kinds of gardening projects meet ongoing local needs in a low-key way, not attempting to update the culture to the modern world. The communities knew that they can trust us, and our actions reflect our integrity. Just recently, I read an article on international assistance that was published in the April 2020 issue of Scientific American. It reported on a multi-year effort to the people of the Nicobar Islands off the coast of Malaysia. In 2004, a tsunami nearly wiped out the island people after an earthquake. Suffice it to say, the article is a case study on what can go wrong when international aid is dispensed with little regard to whom it is being directed. When I read the article, I thought 2 things. This is not how the Tandana Foundation operates, but quite the opposite. And 2, both Anna and Hope Taft need to read this article right away. The article confirms by contrast that the Tandana Foundation's approach to assistance is culturally sensitive and delivers what is actually wanted and needed. Anna is so right about this. Tandana exemplifies the best in its multifaceted approach to international aid. I am proud to have participated in Tandana's volunteer vacations because I witnessed what a difference we made to the people we helped. I thank Tandana for this life-changing opportunity.
Thank you so much, Frances. We're now going to hear from Dick DuVal, who is one of our trustees.
Hi, I am Dick DuVal, a retired real estate developer from Cincinnati, Ohio. My wife ran into Hope Taft shortly after I retired and asked what Anna was doing, and she got a complete rundown on Tandana and what Anna was doing with Tandana. So before I knew it, we had volunteered for a work week in Ecuador. And when I say work week, underline the word work, because I tried to keep up with Hope, and that's a lot of work. When we pulled into the first village, they cheered for us like we had won the Super Bowl. They are so happy to see the Tandana people come in. So we landscaped in the morning and worked very hard. I had a half a dozen children climbing on my back and loved every minute of it. And then we had discussions in the afternoon at lunch that the parents had prepared for us. And the discussions were very interesting. And I left the discussions thinking, if there were more Tandanas in this world, there wouldn't be world wars. After that, later on that week, Anna asked me to be on the board of Tandana. And Tandana board meets the ethics that I live in my life. And I was thrilled to death and I accepted. Several years later, we were at a board meeting in Colorado, and I heard that Purcell was going to be going on the Tandana work trip. So I had graduated from Purcell in 1956, and when I returned to Cincinnati, I gave them a call, and I got very active again, which I hadn't been in years. So I helped them with a fundraiser, and I met with the parents and the students, and I assured them that it was a safe trip. They were interested in what the food was going to be and what the sleeping conditions were going to be, and would they be able to take a shower. So they enjoyed their trip. I met with them when they got back, and they said they loved the homestay, which is the fear we had. They loved the homestay, they loved the trip in general, and they loved Tandana most of all. Now they're working on their baccalaureate approval, and they have to have world travel for their baccalaureate approval. Now, all the things that you just heard, Tandana has a budget of $450,000 a year. Now, I've been very active in the corporate life in Cincinnati, and you would take a for-profit corporation, couldn't do that amount of work for 2 or 3 times that amount of money. So I'm very happy to be on the board of Tandana. The ethics fits my desire to give back to a world that's been very good to me. Thank you very much.
We're now going to hear from Susan, who was our public relations specialist for nearly a decade. Susan.
Okay, and I want to begin my talk with an explanation. As you can probably tell, I have a disability, which makes it hard for me to hold my head up or keep my eyes open when I'm talking. But I want to make sure you don't mistake this for disinterest. Okay, so now that boring disclaimer is out of the way, I want to explain my involvement with Tandana and how that involvement led me to make a life-altering decision. When I first entered the ad that I found in my hometown newspaper, the Dayton Daily News, for a public relations specialist for Tandana, I never imagined how the foundation will change my life. I will always be extremely grateful to Tandana for helping me grow my public relations skills, giving me the sense of belonging to a family, and giving me the sense that I knew I was doing something extremely important. Very unexpectedly, in the 2008-2019 school year, I decided to take a disability advocacy course. While I was taking my course, I took a leave of absence from Tandana, fully expecting to return to my position. However, at the end of my course, I felt called to join the disability advocacy field, and it was actually 2 principles that are at the heart of Tandana's work that led me to make my final decision. In one of her elegantly written blog, Anna talked about how everyone has a moral responsibility to help and serve others. I am fortunate to be articulate and be able to speak my own views, as well as having a supportive network around me, of which my Tandana family is very much a part of. The reality is, a lot of individuals with disabilities cannot speak up for themselves and do not have the network that I have. So I feel a moral obligation to speak up for myself and others. Tandana is always telling the volunteers who travel to Ecuador and Mali to leave their comfort zone. And trust me, being a disability advocate is way outside my comfort zone, considering for the majority of my life, I wanted to ignore the fact I had a disability. it would have been 10 times easier for me just to return to my Tandana family, where I actually knew what I was doing and knew I was making a difference. But because of Tandana's influence in my life, I felt I had to try to make a difference in the world of disability advocacy. But no matter where I go in my life, I will always be so proud to be part of my hometown. And I say hometown because I'm a Dayton area native, Tandana family. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. We're now going to hear from Margarita, who is our accountant in Ecuador. Margarita.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Margarita, vivo junto con mi papá y mi hermana. Nosotros quedamos pequeñas, huérfanas de mi mamá, y estudiamos en la comunidad de Panecillo. Aproximadamente cuando tenía 10 años llegaron los voluntarios para ayudar en la escuela con clases de inglés y medio ambiente. Ahí conocí a Anita Taff y Nacho.
Good afternoon, my name is Margarita Flores, and I live in the community of Panecillo with my sister and my father. When we were very young, my sister and I lost our mother, and it's been the three of us living together. When I was young, I went to school at the Atipijawasu school in my community, and when I was in second grade, two volunteers came to my school, Anita and Nacho, and that's how I got to know Anna.
Cuando cumplieron su labor, regresaron a su país, pero después de algunos años, Anita regresó a Ecuador, a la comunidad donde vivo, y ahí encontramos y conversamos, y entonces ella me supo explicar de que tiene una idea de crear una fundación para poder ayudar a personas de bajos recursos económicos a cumplir sus sueños de estudio.
So the volunteers left after they finished their volunteer work, but Anita came back after several years, and she came to talk to me, and we were sharing about things, and she told me that she had this idea to start a foundation and that she wanted to help students who had limited economic resources to be able to pursue their educations.
Es así como me ayudaron a terminar mi estudio de último en grado de nivel de colegio, y después de esto estudié en la universidad, y en el cual también me ayudaron con el 50% de los gastos, y es así como pude terminar en diciembre de 2016, alcancé el título de ingeniería en contabilidad.
So this dream became a reality, and through that scholarship program, I was able to complete my final year of high school. And then later, I was also able to get a scholarship from Tandana to go to university. And in the university program, Tandana paid half of the costs and I paid the other half. And through this support, I was able to graduate in 2016 with a bachelor's degree in accounting.
Cuando iba a iniciar a hacer mi tesis, tuve una dificultad porque se acabó mi trabajo en la guardería. Entonces conversé con Anita y con directora de la Fundación Tandana para explicar en la situación que me encuentro. Entonces ellos me han abierto la puerta en la fundación, donde me permitieron trabajar escaneando documentos de historias clínicas de personas, y luego hacer los inventarios de medicinas y en general atender la oficina.
But when I was in my last year of university and writing my thesis, I had a problem because the daycare center where I worked closed, and so I lost my job, and so I didn't have a way to pay for my half of the costs. And so I talked to Anna and I talked to the Ecuador manager of Tandana about this, and they opened the door to me and they gave me an opportunity to work for the foundation. And at first I was scanning medical records to enter into their electronic medical record system. And I was doing inventories of medicines and taking care of the office and greeting people who come to the office.
Desde entonces sigo trabajando junto a la Fundación Tandana y me siento muy orgullosa y muy feliz de que la fundación me haya ayudado de esta manera, y también decirles que soy la primera estudiante quien fue beneficiaria día de beca de la Fundación Tandana, y pedirles que también que por favor sigan continuando a las demás jóvenes de la comunidad para que sigan cumpliendo sus sueños, y muchas gracias.
And now I continue working with Tandana now as the accountant, and I'm very proud to be working for Tandana, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to continue my studies. And I hope that Tandana will keep supporting many more students in the community so that many students can also reach their dreams.
Gracias, Margarita. We're now going to hear from Musa, who is our program manager in Mali.
Merci de m'avoir donné la parole depuis le Mali. Je vais présenter un petit témoignage avec votre permission.
Thank you for letting me join in with you all the way from Mali. And I would like to share a particular story that I heard recently from one of our partners.
Ce témoignage vient des femmes de la banque de coton du village de Danagiri. Avec votre appui financier, dans les mois passés, nous avons apporté des kits sanitaires pour installer au niveau de leur banque de coton.
So this story is from the cotton bank of the village of Danagiri in Mali. And thanks to many donations, we were able to bring a hand wash station to this bank as part of our COVID response effort.
J'étais accompagné de mon superviseur. Après avoir parlé sur le coronavirus et comment la maladie se contamine, et pendant la cérémonie de remise des kits, les femmes étaient très émues.
So I went there with our local supervisor, and we explained about the coronavirus and how it spreads and how you can prevent the spread. And we showed them the hand wash station, and the women of the bank were very excited.
Et au nom de toutes les femmes bénéficiaires, la présidente a pris la parole en disant: depuis les États-Unis, la Fondation Tandana a pensé à nous, de nous protéger contre cette pandémie, le coronavirus, alors que parmi nous, nous ne connaissons même pas ce virus et cette maladie n'est même pas encore arrivée chez nous.
And the president of the Cotton Bank spoke on behalf of all the women, and she said, from all the way in the United States, our friends have thought about protecting us from this pandemic, when many of us had never even heard of the coronavirus yet. Some of us might have heard on the radio, others hadn't even heard of it.
Donc, pour nous, aujourd'hui, nous nous rendons compte que la Fondation Tandana est comme un papa, un chef de famille qui cherche à protéger à chaque instant les membres de sa famille.
And so now we've realized that the Tandana Foundation is like a dad, a father to us, because they're always thinking of how to protect all the members of the family.
Pour nous, la Fondation Tandana est aux États-Unis, mais aujourd'hui, nous sommes rendus compte que nous-mêmes, nous faisons partie de cette famille.
We thought that the foundation was in the United States, but today we realized that we are also part of this same family that is the foundation.
Donc, pour nous, la Fondation Tandana est plus qu'une simple ONG. Les autres partenaires, quand ils viennent, ils exécutent un projet et après, ils retournent, on ne les voit plus. Alors que avec la Fondation Tandana, il n'y a pas 3 mois, un agent de la Fondation vient nous suivre dans nos activités et nous donner des conseils qui nous permettent de nous avancer.
So we realized that the Tandana Foundation is much more than an NGO. Other NGOs come and they do a project and then they disappear and we don't see them again. But with Tandana, 3 months don't go by without one of the members of Tandana coming to check on our projects, to give us good advice that help us continue advancing and progressing.
Nous avons découvert la Fondation Tandana il y a plus de 5 années à travers nos activités DPC et à travers cette banque de coton. Nous pensions qu'au départ, donc c'est fini, ils vont nous laisser tomber, mais on se rend compte que la Fondation Tandana compte toujours à penser de nous et la Fondation a toujours le souci de vraiment suivre toutes nos activités afin que les activités se passent dans les meilleures conditions.
So it was 5 years ago that we first started working with Tandana through our Savings for Change groups, and then later with this cotton bank. And at first we thought Tandana came, okay, they're gonna leave and that's it. But now we realize that they keep thinking of us and that they're still in this friendship and partnership with us.
Donc aujourd'hui, nous sommes très fiers d'être membres de cette famille Tandana.
So today we are so proud to be members of this Tandana family.
Ça, c'est juste un exemple parmi beaucoup d'exemples pour montrer comment la Fondation va au-delà des objectifs des autres projets, des autres ONG, et comment la Fondation crée la confiance entre les villages partenaires.
So that's just one example among many that I could share about how the Tandana Foundation goes above and beyond what other NGOs do, and how they build complete trust among all of the partners.
Merci, Musa.
Merci.
As was previously mentioned, Tandana is a root word in Quechua. It means to gather together. During this pandemic, we're not able to gather together in person. So how do we carry on and carry out our mission when this is so ingrained into our identity? Fortunately, Tandana also means to unite. And if gathering together in person is how we start projects and how we create caring relationships, being united is what will keep those relationships together and keep them strong to weather this storm. We're continuing to gather together and unite in new ways, in exciting ways, Zoom included, and we're not going to let this pandemic stifle us. Bob, Linda, Kim, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure to be able to share with you today. We appreciate this opportunity, and we're very grateful for your time. We're humbled to be a Better Business Bureau Eclipse Integrity Award finalist, and we know that you can't ask us any questions, but I would like to extend the invitation that after this process has been completed, we're more than willing to be available to talk more about what we do and why we do it that way. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We love to share our mission with other like-minded people. So thank you once again, and this concludes our presentation.